Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we're going to take a history, kind of reels that have been forgotten or maybe you've never known about because, well, they disappeared. And what I mean by disappear, the brand went away. And they went away for a lot of reasons. We'll talk a little bit about that today. But you know, it's interesting if you're stuck in a period of time, you look at something and you get an idea that this is the way things have always been. And then things change. For example, in the computer industry, in the mainframes of the computer industry, in the 1960s, you had IBM making their mainframe, and you had another group called The Bunch. And The Bunch was actually an acronym of other manufacturers that were competing against IBM at the time. You had Burroughs, Univac, or Sperry Univac, NCR, Control Data, and Honeywell. And well, they all kind of became footnotes in history. If you look at the car business, how many brands of cars were out there that came, thrived, and went away? Think Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Packard, Hudson, Nash, and just DeSoto. Just keep naming them, new and old. They had a relevant time. They made a nice product, and then they disappeared. Well, same with fishing reels. And we wanted to talk about the reels that you may have forgotten about or never known about. But all of them have a significance. All of them, well, they're pretty very much interesting. And just learning the history of them themselves often is a fun thing to do. And I've just assembled a few here. We'll call them blasts from the past, but each one of them had kind of an interesting contribution to the fishing industry. Many of them had unique features and functions. So let's talk a little bit about these. See how many you know and how many maybe you never heard of before. So the first one I'm going to grab is a reel that I actually learned to fish with. This is a reel made in France. It was made by Senator. This one is a Senator River. I actually learned to fish with the Senator Pacific. These were made in France in the 1950s and 60s. And beautiful reels, nice engineering all around. And if you're a fan of a period of time, these things, well, they can just go fishing today as easily as they went fishing all the way back then. Next one is a proud company that had a lot of history. This one is by Pflueger. This is a Pflueger Capital. Ernest Pflueger was a competitor to William Shakespeare all the way back at the turn of the 20th century. Yep, that means in the late 1800s, early 1900s, these two fellows were making fishing reels. And Pflueger eventually sold out to, of all places, Shakespeare. And Shakespeare eventually was acquired by Pure Fishing, but none of the reels that they made today under that brand name bear any semblance to the design, the engineering, and all the innovations that occurred during the management by the principals whose companies shared their names. This one's rather unique. It features a single screw take apart. If you remove this screw and pull out, you can remove the whole side plate here. Here's another one. This is interesting. This is an older Ocean City reel. Ocean City had a run from 1922 until 1957. They were formed by M&M, Moskowitz, and I forget the other fellow's name, in Philadelphia. They were a sporting goods store, and they took to manufacturing fishing reels to stock in their store. It became quite an enterprise. They have wonderful fishing reels across a variety of platforms, from trolling reels and big game reels to small bait casting reels, and well, this one's a medium-sized ocean reel. So Ocean City is another one that you might not remember. This is a reel from West Germany. Well, that kind of tells you a little bit about that right there, doesn't it? This is a Dam Quick. Dam was, that stood for German Angling or Fishing Reel Manufacturing Company. A beautiful reel, again, made in the late 1960s and 70s. And, if you can find one of these, they'll fish as well as any reel that you can buy today. This tells a different story. This is a Game Fisher reel made for Sears. Well, just like we were talking about the automobiles and the computers, how many retailers have gone out, right? You can think about Montgomery Ward's, about Sears, Kmart. I'm sure that the list just goes on and on and on about stores that were there when maybe we were young that aren't there any longer. On the Northeast, we had Two Guys, EJ Corvettes, S.J. Klein, all kinds of stores like that, Kresge. And they all sold fishing reels. Most of the time, those fishing reels were made for them. And in this case, the reel Game Fisher was made for them. This one was made in Korea, which means it was probably made in the late 1970s or early 1980s. Another reel with a vivid history is Langley. Langley was a aircraft and parts and components manufacturer. After World War II, they made fishing reels as part of their changeover to products that were fit for the post-war GIs and the like. Langley eventually was acquired in 1962 by Zebco. Zebco acquired them for the spinning wheels. Zebco before them was known for the closed-face spinning wheel. And, after that, the initial ones that they made just simply said Zebco instead of Langley as the reel. And then over time, they started producing their own. Didn't just happen in the U.S. This is an English reel. A lot of interesting features and functions on this. The trip switch, the click mechanism. Beautiful reel all around. This is a KP Morit. This is a reel that was made in England, and it also had a cast control, sort of an inductor kind of a thing for pressure on the spool so that you didn't have a backlash. Beautiful reel all around. This one was sold between 1968 and 1972, and in the U.S. I think it was actually sold by South Bend, which has a history by themselves. Well, just a couple more to grab your attention. There were reels that came and go and left quite an impression. This one was made in the 1920s. This is a Meiselbach reel. It was a tripart reel, and if you're interested in finding period pieces, just go back to the early baitcasters. There's so many of them out there, such innovations. Tripart, well, it was considered 3 parts. You would remove this rim. This is easy for field service. Remove the rim, frame, spool, gearing. Pretty easy, right? Try and find that in a modern day bait casting. Well, let's just look at 2 more just for fun while we're at it. Here's a reel that kind of looks from the back to be an Ocean City, but it's not. This is a Bronson reel. Bronson was in Bronson, Michigan, and Bronson was a competitor in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Beautiful reels all around in design. This one's probably earlier. This one's probably around World War II with the wooden knob and all. But this is a direct drive reel that they manufactured there. They acquired a lot of companies over time. They bought a company called J.A. Cokes, which is one of the reels I have on the desk here, and others over time just to continue to to use their patents and to make fishing reels for the general public. Finally, I kept one off to the side for a while. Not the best example, but this is a Garcia Mitchell saltwater fishing reel. This was the 600 series that Garcia Mitchell made, and it's kind of chicken and the egg. Who went bankrupt first? Garcia was a distributor. They were not a manufacturer. They distributed Mitchell reels in the U.S., and so you saw Garcia Mitchell. Well, Garcia ran into some difficulties, and they financially, and I believe their downfall caused the downfall of Mitchell, because they were such a big customer of Mitchell that when they could no longer buy stuff, Mitchell, well, they ran out of money as well. They had all this inventory and no place to sell it. And then eventually Garcia, well, the name Garcia was picked up by Abu, where they continue to use it today, Abu Garcia. But this reel would be the Mitchell Garcia, The difference between the two, Garcia's distribution policies or contracts for Mitchell were with spinning reels, and they had a conventional reel agreement with Abu, which kind of is another story for another day. So, DeSoto's, Hudson's, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Bronson, Damn Quick, KP Moore, Pfluger, Langley, all names from the past, all of them very relevant in the time that they were being produced, all of them great quality reels with rich histories. And if you're wondering where those fishing reels have gone, well, now's the time to learn a little bit more about them, see what else you can find out about the fishing reels of the past, and, well, make your comparisons to today. Who do you think will survive? There's the big three, of course. There's Penn, Daiwa, and Shimano. There's a host of others in there that, well, may become these, right? Okuma, Tika, Avette, Accurate. Just kind of think through these in terms of wondering which ones will and which ones will not have a generational kind of prosperity that lasts until the day. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's fun taking a trip down memory lane. If you like these kinds of videos, please like it in the box. Please subscribe. The subscription doesn't cost you anything, and, well, we try to cover lots of things involved with fishing. Sometimes it's historical, sometimes it's the latest and the greatest. You can choose what you like to watch. If you subscribe, you'll get notified, and you'll see if that's a video you would like to watch. For now, this is Dennis thanking our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of our way, and thanking you for watching. Have a great day.